Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're talking about the Kongo, not the country, no, and not that awesome sci-fi movie from the 90s, but we're actually talking about the Frame Arms Girl Kongo. The Frame Arms Girl Kongo. Yes, this is the Frame Arms Girl version of what a Kankole kit would look like, as we have our musume mixed with these very boat and like ship armament style design aspects from the Kongo Frame Arms kit now for the Frame Arms Girl kit. But looks like a pretty awesome design. Let's go ahead and get into it here for today's video. And so on the front of the box art here, we've got our pretty typical Frame Arms Girl style box art with the character illustration, the titling over here on the side. We've got our color swatches up there at the top, which are meant to represent like the colors they're found on the design. Always love the Frame Arms Girl illustrations here for the box art. Is it just me, or does this hat here on the head it just always reminds me of the mass production type Evangelion with this like white head part and the red lip sort of right there. Anyway, as you can see, this is in a pretty thick box here, pretty deep. If we go around onto the side here, we can see exactly what the kit is going to look like when it's all built and painted up. Just has a lot of equipment on there between the legs, the rifle, the shields, and these parts they're all kind of part of the back. It does have the unarmored form in there as an option as well you can do. And we can see a couple different ways to outfit it, basically just by being able to switch around those parts, all the equipment and everything. So there's a couple of different photos showing different ways to have the kit orientated with all of the equipment, and then here's how it's going to look just unpainted straight out of the box. Around on the other side, we've got a look at our included face option parts here, and hair parts basically being if you want to have like the hat and equipment there on the head, or just the hair on its own, and then some decals, basically a very small decal sheet going to be included for a couple of eye decals. And that's about it. With the MSRP for this one coming in at 9,000 yen. It is a little bit of a spicy meatball. As you can see, it's a pretty big box here. We do have a lot of stuff inside. I think because of this color scheme of this one, there's a lot of parts. And then like typically with a Kotobukiya kit, there would be a lot of runners. But I think because the color scheme is like fairly uniform, there's like a lot of parts are either going to be white, gray, or red, or purple. The number of different colors represented here is maybe relatively small or smaller than other designs. So basically that means that they can fit more parts onto runners. You don't have to have quite so many runners, but as you can see, there is still quite a lot of runners here. Here's a look at those water slide decals. Like I said, just a couple of eye options there. And our instruction manual is just going to have the same box art here on the front. It's pretty thick manual here for this one. The front inside page is going to have a few images again of the built and painted kit. Good for posing options there, and you can see the Frame Arms kit, which this is based off of, that being just the Frame Arms Kongo kit there, of course. Next page is going to have our parts list. You can see a bunch of parts on there, and then after that we're on into the construction. And as it typically goes with these, we build the base body first, then you build all the equipment and weapons and everything, kind of put it all together. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. This will, I think, probably also just include like the transformation to kind of like the different modes, sort of as it were. And then once we get to the very back here is going to be our color guide for the kit. So the colors are right there. I was going to say color and decal guide. The decal is obviously just for the eyes there, so you don't really necessarily feel like you don't need a guide for that, but the color guide is here if you want to match the colors. Anyway, for our pre-painted parts here, we've got a couple of parts there for the body molded in flesh tone with some white pre-printed details. We've got our 3 pre-printed face option parts there, which look really nice. A couple more parts over here. Looks like off-white parts with some purple printed on those. And then over here, we've got our bagged base plate for the kit, which looks like it's going to be a clear base for this one. Our W runner is some wrist joint parts there in that light lavender, and our Q runner is going to be what looks to be like a kind of metallic clear kind of green color there for the visor on that part there on the hat. We've got some polycaps in here as well as we're getting into the rest of the runners with some flesh tone color polycaps, and then also some just like a hexagear style polycaps here. And then our runner of hand option parts, which are all going to be here in that light lavender color there as well. Runner A is going to be all of our hair parts here in this very light desaturated brown color. The runners B, C, and D are going to be a bunch of off-white parts. These are all white, but with a very slight tint of like a pinkish purple to them. Then we've got 2 of the D runner here. Runners E and F are going to be the rest of our flesh tone color parts here. And the runner H is actually in a pure white, so I wanted to set the previous color to the side there for a comparison. Hopefully you guys can see the difference between the pure white and then the very slightly tinted white there of the previous couple runners that we looked at. Similarly, runners J, K, L, and M all have a little bit of a purplish tint to them. This is going to be all of our dark gray parts for like the weapons and the mechanical aspects of the kit. You do have some parts on here for the body as well, of course. There you can see runner L, and then runner M we have 2 of here. Runner N is going to be the entirety of our red parts, which is in a really nice, like somewhat desaturated, darker red color. And lastly, runners O and P are here in light lavender, with us having 1 of runner O, 2 of runner P, and that's it for all of the parts. Let's go ahead and get this built up and see how she looks. Alright guys, so here is the base form of the kit all built up. Looks really, really nice, and we'll add everything onto this here in just a moment once we go through all of the included accessories, which there's a fair amount of equipment that's going to be added onto this one and some cool option parts and everything. But even just the base body, you can see like the color separation on this is really nice, from the red and black and gray bits mixed in with the white there for her outfit. So really great looking kit here, just the main body straight out of the box. I love the details and the aesthetic that it has going on there as well, so it looks fantastic. Let's go ahead then and check out all of our included accessories here. So starting off with our face option parts, as you can see, you got the one that's looking off there to the side. You've also got this very joyful face here like that. The printing quality on these looking really, really nice. You got that really nice gradient there in the eyes. You got the rosy cheeks, the little highlight on the cheeks there as well. The mouths are nicely painted. And then our third option here giving us this sort of angry face here. So you got some really nice expressive face options with this one, which I definitely appreciate. For the hair, when we're switching to the more armored form, we're going to swap the front half of the hair for this bit here, which has that part at the top, which again, as I said, always reminds me of the mass production type Evangelion there with that red lip. You got that little bit of white accent of hair that's going to be added on there as well. And then this kind of like back section of hair right here, we're also going to replace with this bit, because that's going to also make room for us to plug this little kind of antenna piece onto there as well. It's going to be sticking off the head there, something like that. So I'll of course show you how that's going to look here in just a moment. For our hand option parts then, moving on to the arms, we've got these open expressive hands, we've got closed fists, we've also got open resting hands, and then 2 different types of holding hands, one with the trigger finger extended and one without. So just our standard loadout of hand option parts. And then for switching to the armored form, we're going to swap the arms entirely there from the bicep down. You're going to swap for these arm pieces that have like the same part there at the top, but then below the elbow they're obviously going to be the more like armor covered pieces there with that white and a little bit of dark gray armor on the arms. And then we're going to do the same thing here at the legs. So the legs look really nice, and you do have some nice details underneath with the toe band and everything on the legs, but we're going to swap them off there at the thigh. Switch out to our armored legs, which just like at the arms have all this nice white armor around on the outsides and some nice detail there on the bottom of the feet. Armored feet look really cool. You can point them down. This back part here at the back kind of moves out of the way for you to be able to point the foot down there like that. You can also put this all the way flat on the ground like that if you prefer, and I love the fact that you have this like kind of detail. It looks like a boat's rudder there at the back side as well. Very cool. And then we're going to be attaching onto the legs these sections here like this of the boat. As you can see, we have this kind of mechanical arm with a couple of points of articulation, and this kind of side of the boat hole is just going to attach onto the side of the leg there. We have that for the left and the right side. And then we've got the backpack, which is going to be the main unit here. It's kind of split into 4 sections. So you have this part that's going to plug into the back. These lower sections are going to be, again, big like parts of the boat's hull, and then here attached on the inside of there, we've got 2 cutters or like knife weapons. Those can be removed and just handheld. They don't fold or do anything else other than that. They're just going to be held in the hand and then meant to just be a knife blade like that. So kind of interesting way to hold them, but otherwise those don't really do a whole lot. Another cool aspect that you've got on here, if you'll notice, these little missile doors will also open up. You can pop that open. You got some cool molded missile detail there inside there as well. And then the upper 2 arms of the backpack here are going to have the large cannon, which can be taken off of there and just held in the hand. And then over here on this side, ostensibly a shield, but this also has a cannon like attached onto the top of that, which can be moved, rotated, and then moved up and down independently. And then on the underside of that, you'll notice we have this small Gatling gun on there, so no shortage of weapon options here with this one. And then for holding these equipment bits in the hand, if you don't want to have them attached up onto the backpack, we do have a number of attachment pieces. Like here's going to give you like the handle part, and then some other attachment bits here that you can use for that. And then of course we've got our included base, which is going to be clear on the bottom, and then you have this mechanical arm here, which is going to plug into the kit. You also have this additional piece here, which we're going to use in combination with this when kind of mounting everything together. So basically you can take all of the equipment and make it into like this big cannon thing that she can hold on to, and I'll show you how that looks here in just a moment. But these are basically just parts there for the base, and as you can see, a lot of mounting points here and a couple of articulation points. Like you can bend it there at the bottom, that will rotate. You can also bend it up here and then bend where it's going to plug into the back of the main kit. So once again, with this one, we've just got a lot of stuff that you can do with it. But as far as the main kit, no real surprises here. You will have a couple of seam lines here and there, which is pretty normal for this line. Unfortunately, that's still definitely a thing. But the articulation is all going to be really quite nice, with a bend here in the torso between the top and bottom half of the body, a single joint at the elbow, but as you can see, a pretty full bend there, a double joint at the knee that will give you a nice full bend there. As I pointed out before, the toe does bend and then the foot will move. So however you end up deciding you want to display this kit, you definitely have some really nice options as it goes with these. I mean, this is, again, I feel like I say this every time, but again, this is another one where I really like the base body, and I wish that they would sell versions of these kits, because, you know, Kotobukiya loves selling different versions and variations of their kits, especially in the Frame Arms Girl line. I know, but kind of all their lines really, but one thing that they've never really done that much is sell like just the base form versions of some of the kits like this. But we have seen that like with the Hirschfelger, for example. We have seen a couple of versions of the Hirschfelger and like just light armor, basically, where it doesn't come with all of the other equipment and everything. It's basically like just the main body with a few other little bits. It'd be cool to see some more of that with some of the other releases, like with the Kongo here. Or personally, I would love to see that for the Griffin as well. So it's something that hopefully maybe they'll do more in the future. I would like to see more of that. But of course, all the equipment that you have with this particular version is also really cool though. So this is one that kind of reminds me a lot of the base lard, in that you have basically the backpack that can like hold all your weapons, but you do have a nice array of weapons there that you can choose to just handhold if you want. So there's different ways to like equip all the different weapon options and everything that you have with this one. You also have like the ride-on form there, not like ride-on like the Pokemon, but ride-on, where you can mount everything together, and it's not exactly quite like the Frame Arms version. So the Frame Arms version like more transforms into an actual boat. We don't really have that with this, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm glad that they didn't opt to make this so that it transforms in the same way as the Frame Arms version. You get sort of something like that with this one, but honestly it's kind of goofy, and I'm just glad that you don't really have that with this version. But you still kind of have the aesthetic and everything's there for that. But overall, this is a super cool kit that, as usual, gives you plenty of different really nice options for how you might want to display it. In particular, I mean, if you're a fan of Kantai Collection, then this is definitely one you may want to check out, because while it's not an official character from Kankole, it's definitely something, you know, that looks like it could be something from that. I mean, and that is something that you could do. I mean, you could opt to just like keep the base body of this kind of as it is, and then use like some of the equipment parts, basically the backpack with like the boat and weapon option parts and stuff like that, attach that onto, if you have like a Kankole Figma or something like that, a character Figma, you could attach some of the weapon and like boat parts onto that. Definitely could be something that you could try out, sort of making your own kind of custom Kankole style figure using some of the parts from this model kit. And then we do also have other forms of this kit that are out that we will be taking a look at in the future, so stay tuned for that. But if you guys want to check out some more of the Frame Arms Girl lineup, or Frame Arms, or anything else from Kotobukiya, you know, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We've got lots of great stuff there on the website. And as always, guys, thank you all so much for all of your support. Leaving a like or making sure that you're subscribed if you're not yet subscribed really means a lot, guys. Thank you all so much. So until next time, hope y'all are having a great day. See y'all later. Bye bye.